Hey, how's it going? Volta here, and in today's video, we shall be taking a closer look at the GWolves HSK Pro 4K. So, just to start things off, traditionally, I always tend to use a claw grip style. However, recently I noticed, especially with smaller mice, that my hand was naturally moving further and further towards the back. It just became kind of comfortable for me to use, kind of gave me a greater range of motion or control when I was using smaller mice. So this made me want to try out a mouse which was purely designed for fingertip grip style in mind. And this is where the HSK Pro 4K came into the picture. So now we can take a closer look at the specs, which I will have for you somewhere along the screen. But the weight is super impressive, coming in at 29 grams. The switches are the Zippy 60 million clicks, and the sensor is the 3395. So like I just mentioned, the switches using this mouse are the Zippy 60 million, which are very clicky and spammable. They're probably my second favorite switches at the moment. I would have to put them just behind the Huano Blue Shell Pink Dots, which I have on my Pulsar X2 Mini Boardsy Edition. Hashtag Zebra Gang again. But yeah, really enjoyed the clicks. Super spammable. Had a great time using them in games like Apex and Overwatch. The scroll wheel on my copy is rather rigid. However, it has loosened up in the month or so that I've been using it. So it has nice defined steps. However, it is a bit hard to actuate when you press down. And another thing to report is how low the mouse button sits into the shell. So you can see here on camera, it is very low. Now, the reason why I took the grip off is because that also impacts the scroll wheel height. So if you can see there, that's without the grip tape. And if I flip over, you can see it's marginally lower, but it does make a difference considering how low it is. Now, I haven't had any issues using this for swapping weapons, if that's what you have it bound to, or for movement keys like in Apex or Valorant, if you have it to scroll wheel jump. The side buttons are a nice little addition, as some other fingertip grip mice don't offer these. However, the HSK Pro 4K does, and I would like to report that, yeah, they're pretty good on my copy at least. The way I grip the mouse, I try to place my thumb directly under. That way, when I need to use the side buttons, I can just simply roll my thumb up, and I can also easily differentiate which button is which, as there is a gap in between the two buttons on offer, which, yeah, for me is very useful. The only thing that I would like to mention is that if your if your hands or thumb are slightly bigger than mine, then this could be a little bit problematic. So just as a reference point, my hand size are 18 by 9. Also, another thing to kind of mention, if the camera can pick this up, is that the grip tip does change the feel or kind of the dimensions of the mouse. So I actually prefer using the mouse buttons without the grip tape, but I prefer using the actual mouse overall with the grip tape, if that makes any sense, because yeah, the coating is a little bit slidey, which we can get onto a little bit later in the video. Now to the shape, and like I mentioned, this mouse was designed with a fingertip grip style in mind. I do think that you could claw grip this if you have smaller hands than I do, or if you really wanted to, or really tried to. However, I would like to say that this would become rather uncomfortable over a period of time, or if you use it for a few hours per session, for example. So that is something that I would like you to bear in mind if you are thinking of making a purchase for this mouse, that this is designed for a fingertip grip style in mind. Now, a mouse that I find a small bit similar and that kind of helped me with the transition over would be the Xtrfy MZ1. So I used to use or main the wired version, and I also really like the wireless versions by Rocket Jump Ninja and Xtrfy. And the reason why I say that is because with the low button height and just the way I used to grip this mouse, which was kind of further towards the back, and yeah, in combination, like I said, with the low button height. Now, the main difference between the two, from obviously the size difference, the HSK Pro is a lot smaller. I would have to say is the weight. It's not a heavy mouse, the MZ1. I think it comes in at around 62 grams from memory. But you do notice it when you are doing micro adjustments, or if you're a wrist tamer like I am. And if I go back to the HSK Pro, it's like night and day. So this makes micro adjustments and tracking absolutely effortless. So like we've been mentioning, this mouse has been designed with a fingertip grip style in mind. So you don't actually end up making too much contact with the mouse itself. And as a result, the coating, or initially when I was testing the mouse, isn't something that I paid too much attention to up until I got into longer gaming sessions or more intense gunfights. And then when my hand or fingers became a little bit slippy, I kind of lost my locked in feeling with the mouse, and I decided to apply some grip tape, which luckily enough GWolves include in the box. So if you would like to refer to the unboxing video, I will have it linked somewhere along the screen or down in the description below. And I would like to say that the grip tape is super grippy, very comfortable to use. I'm actually a big fan of this grip tape. The only thing I would like to mention is that it kind of changes the dimensions of the mouse slightly. So I have seen some people mention that they prefer thinner grip tape or the original dimensions. So again, that's just something to bear in mind. And I think that that would be down to personal preference. But again, it is rather good that the grip tape is included in the box. And you can also see that there is little dot grips as well, if you don't want to go for the full layers, so to speak. To the naked eye, or to the naked boomer eye, like I have, you may not notice much of a difference between 1000 Hertz and 4000 Hertz polling rate. However, I have noticed that my tracking has been rather insane on this mouse. Again, I would like to compare this with maybe some other offerings like Razers, who have 4000 Hertz and 8000 Hertz, which is kind of insane to think about at the moment. But again, my performance has been really solid in games like Apex and Overwatch 2, where I kind of tested this mouse the most. I don't know if I can put that specifically down to the polling rate or just to the exclusive fingertip grip style. Or maybe it's just everything that this mouse kind of offers in a tiny little package. But yeah, I have to say that when I do use this mouse, I am more confident with my tracking, and yeah, just have to say my overall performance. I currently have the default battery installed, and you might be wondering why I'm saying that. And the reason is that the first batch, or release batch, actually had some pretty public battery issues. But I'm happy to report I haven't seen any issues reported in a long time now, and there's been no issues with my copy. GWolves also include a spare battery and a testing kit in the box. So if you would like to refer to the unboxing video, again, I will have that linked in the description below. One thing to report is that you will for sure need to charge this mouse more often than you might be accustomed to, especially if you have a G Pro Superlight or Final Mouse, for example. I tend to play a few hours each evening after work, sometimes over the weekend, and I still have to charge this mouse every session or two. It is quoted at around 30 hours if you're using the 4K, or around 70 hours if you're using the 1000 Hertz polling rate. As the mouse is not micro USB, it also kind of takes a while to charge up. And GWolves being GWolves, they include two cables. So one cable, which is rubber, and I use this cable for the 4000 Hertz dongle, and I kind of leave that sitting at the top of the mouse pad. And then they have a braided cable, which you can use to play with the mouse or to charge the mouse. So you don't have to keep unplugging the receiver or adapter, for example. So again, if you're using this mouse, I would recommend to charge it every session or two. Also, if the the battery is running low, a red LED light will be on the bottom of the mouse. So whenever you're kind of lifting the mouse off the mouse pad, you will notice that, especially if you're using a glass pad, because it's quite bright. So I guess that is one benefit of a glass pad. Now, to take a look at the quality control or QC side of things, I would like to report that my mouse has no side flex or creaking, no matter how much pressure I apply to the sides, which I think is super impressive considering the actual size of the mouse. Yeah, it's tiny. So yeah, well done on that front. I can bend the bottom plate if I apply enough pressure, but let's face it, it's not something that you will be doing in day-to-day use or while you're gaming. But again, something that I would like to report. Another thing which I would like to report is the amount of side-to-side play or wobble on both mouse 1 and mouse 2, and the amount of pre-travel on mouse 1 and mouse 2. Not that much post-travel, but it is quite a lot. And the strange thing is it doesn't impact my performance whatsoever, which I was very surprised about. I was kind of worried when I originally unboxed the mouse, and the first thing I noticed was the amount of side-to-side play. But again, no impact while using it day-to-day use. One thing that I would like to report again is the difference in the mouse click feel, depending on where you actuate the click from. So it feels different at the top, middle, and back of the mouse. So depending on your preferred grip, that is something to take into consideration. So if GWolves are watching this video, I think it would be rather cool if there was a way to implement a more consistent feeling on the clicks, depending on where you prefer to grip and actually actuate mouse 1 and mouse 2. Now, a personal suggestion on improvements, I'm not sure if everyone would agree, would be if I take out my Xtrfy MZ1 wireless, and if we take a look at the comfort grooves, so you can see the way it's kind of grooved on mouse 1 and mouse 2. I think if that could be implemented on future batches or even newer releases, it could be quite cool, because it kind of gives you the a way to lock in your grip more consistently. But yeah, again, not everyone might agree, and I'm not sure if it's possible, because due to the how low the button height already is. But again, I think if that could be implemented on this mouse, it could be like absolutely end game for me. With regards to the software, my only recommendation would be to load it up, pick your preferred settings, and then to forget about it. It's rather basic, and you kind of have to decipher what some of the settings actually mean. The English translation is also lacking, but with a few minor tweaks, once you found what you like, you can simply use the battery LED indicator for when the battery is running low, and it could for sure use some improvements, but at the end of the day, it does the job as it stands. I have really enjoyed using this mouse, and with some minor improvements, I think that this mouse could become endgame for myself and for many fingertip grip enthusiasts. I'm glad I took the plunge and decided to purchase this, and also to test it so extensively. However, the question always remains, how did I perform with it? If I compare this mouse to my other top performers, which is the Lamzo Atlantis Mini, excellent mouse, performed really well, super consistent, great build quality, and one of my all-time favorites, which is the Xtrfy MZ1 wired and wireless versions, I would have to say that the HSK Pro 4K has become my top performer and the mouse which I use the most. I typically have 2 to 3 mice on my desks at all times, which I like to rotate depending on certain games I play. If I'm playing ranked or casual with friends, then I tend to swap mice. But I've really enjoyed using this so much and performed so well with it. I haven't really used any other mouse since, unless I am testing or reviewing another product. So for example, the Dharma Shark M3, which is kind kind of a beast when you compare it to the HSK Pro 4K. If you are thinking of grabbing this little mouse to try a new grip, like fingertip grip, or just to simply try something new, then there's also the HSK Pro Ace, which is the cheaper version, offering 1000 Hertz. And yeah, that could be a great option if you don't want to go all out on the more expensive one. The HSK Pro Ace comes in at $139, and the HSK Pro 4K comes in at $179 respectively. So if you use a discount code, or like I did, then that will save you an additional $10. Additionally, if you're in two minds whether or not you would like to or should get this mouse, I will leave some videos of other reviewers in the description below, which really helped me with my purchase decision. Hopefully this might also help you in case you have some similar queries to myself. One of the videos is from Logpile Gaming, who had some interesting issues where he had to get a replacement copy. And I think he currently has 2 videos about this mouse detailing his experiences. Good Enough Tech Reviews, who also mains this mouse, and he's the discount code which I used at the time. And then finally Liam from over at AimAdapt, who has a great comparison with other fingertip grip mice and shapes. If you made it this far in the video, you're an absolute legend. If you like the content, feel free to hit the thumbs up or consider subscribing, as it really does help the channel out a lot. Any comments or feedback are also very much appreciated. Until the next time, catch you in the next one. Peace out.